What does fickle mean? Can you explain to me, please?
Hi everyone, welcome to WitchSlapped, the PopWire after show for the Hallmark channel's The Way Home. I am Dani.
I'm Rowell. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Dani, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for joining me today, especially because you have a big trip coming up, right?
I do. I'm going to be visiting my wife all the way in England.
Okay, so you told me that your wife has an accent. I want to hear your British accent real quick.
You want to hear mine? Oh, no way. It's so bad. It's so bad. Can
Okay.
you do?
Only when I'm drunk, which is actually leads me to this. So what are you drinking tonight?
I'm on the gin and tonic again.
Okay. All right. So as you guys have been following WitchSlapped, you know that I have a advent calendar full of wine bottles. This is the third one. And this is Cabernet Sauvignon from Moldova or something. So I'm going to be
Ooh,
drinking this.
fancy.
Fancy, fancy. And it's a small bottle, so I'm not even going to bother using a glass or whichever. And okay, so I just want to address the what I say the giant panda in the room. Okay, so I want to explain this real quick. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
the other day I was frying some vegetables, and I had the pot on and oil, and it was like on high. While I was waiting for it to heat up, I was cutting my vegetables, and then as soon as I slid the onions in, the oil splashed all over my face.
Oh my gosh.
Um, so it splashed like under my eye, over here, even on my arm. I have a band-aid. So then I left it alone, but the next day it started to get a little dark, those spots. So it's like, oh, let me just rub it off. And then it took off the damn skin. And now it's like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So I just wanna, so hopefully this doesn't distract you guys too much. I'll just be like this the whole episode. Huh. Okay. So, as you guys know, when we first started Witch Slept for this season, I asked Dani if she could travel back in time, where would she go? And then I also asked Jennifer if she could travel back in time, so now it's my turn, and I kind of wasn't going to share this story, but this episode 209 kind of brought me back to that. Okay, so I'm going to try to not get too emotional. Okay, so I would like to travel back to the middle of February of last year. So my mom she went on a 2-week vacation to Thailand and the Philippines. And the day the evening, the day that she left, uh, she was waiting for me to come home so that, we could say our goodbyes and hug each other before she left. Her flight was at night. And I said, "Oh no, Mom, just go, just go. I might be a little bit late, getting home, and I don't want you to miss your flight. And I'll see you when you come back." So this was like February of last year. Okay. I haven't seen her since. Um, the day that the day before she was supposed to come back, this is in the Philippines, she had a really bad seizure and I think like a stroke. She went to the hospital, she was unconscious, she was put on life support. Her face started swelling up. They had to put a trachea after a while, and um, it was really scary. And we prayed and prayed and cried, and so for a long time, I didn't know if she was going to make it or not. And so during that time, when she was unconscious, I was constantly kicking myself that I never went home that day to give her a hug. Um, and I even, okay, so I took a few days off of work to, deal what was, get whatever. Um, and then I told myself, um, if she doesn't make it, I'm gonna unalive myself, pretty much. So, but thankfully, she's okay now. She's she's still in the hospital in the Philippines because what's messed up, and I know this is a long story, but she she's okay to be discharged. Um, but it's like a third world country there, and they won't discharge her until her whole bill is settled. So they're pretty much holding her hostage. And we've called the embassy, the Philippine embassy, the USA, the US embassy, and lawyers and a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just been, we've been dealing with this for like since July of last year. So yeah, I haven't seen my mom since then, and I miss her. And so yeah, if I could travel back in time, I would go to this time last year and give her that hug before she left for vacation. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry to like bring everybody down. I'm sorry. But
Oh, Rilla.
but it was but thank God that she's okay. She is still doing physical therapy. She can't walk. She was diagnosed with viral encephalitis.
Oh,
So there's like inflammation in the brain. And she does remember us, which is great, but a lot of her memory is jumbled. And she's been hallucinating a lot. And yeah, so that's my story. And thanks for listening.
Rilla, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, well, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Okay. Well, on that note, let me take a drink.
Can I just say that I'm very glad that you are still here with us and as a friend. And I mean, I know that we sorry. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that your mom is okay, and the world is a better place with you in it, Rowell. I mean that. So, um, if there's anything that I can do, please let me know, and I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Oh my God, I'm crying. Okay.
You're making me
Ah!
cry.
Okay. All right. Cheers. Okay. I'm so sorry to be a downer, you guys.
No,
I've been wanting to share this story for a while, ever since we started talking about, when we would travel back in time. Okay. Um, so now, um, let's talk about the way home. So we found out that the show was renewed. That's season three. What are your thoughts on that season three renewal?
oh my God, I am so excited. The last time we talked about the show, I think we were both saying how there's so much happening and they're leading up to something really large. And um, I think again in this episode, it's even more apparent that that's what is exactly what's happening.
Mm.
And I'm so happy that Hallmark is giving them another season because they absolutely deserve it. I mean, the story is beautiful, the characters are amazing, the acting, like everything about it. It definitely deserves another season. So it's something to celebrate.
And I'm just shocked because so when you think Hallmark Channel, you think like Christmas specials, right? Or like love stories or so like when I heard about this show and I saw the trailer and we started watching it, I'm like, whoa, this is on Hallmark? This is amazing. Like I should check out what else they have. So
Yeah.
I think maybe this is the only show like it on the network. So I hope they kind of bring more of the, supernatural type shows on their network. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get into episode 209. So Dani, tell us what it's about.
So the name of the episode is Here Without You, and the description is as follows. Del, Kat, and Alice are feeling the absence of key allies for each of them as they struggle to make life-altering decisions and choices. Alice grapples with what she learned in the aftermath of witnessing the party at Lingermore. This episode was written by Alexandra Clark and directed by John Fawcett. And I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, I think you did. I gotta say, this like I think might be my favorite episode of the season. I kept,
Oh my God.
I kept gasping out loud so many times.
Yeah.
I
And
yeah.
it was the whole shipping of Kat and Susanna. I know we're probably going to get into that later, but I literally had to. So I wore this shirt earlier on in the season, but I had to bring it back because I
Huh?
was like, this is for Susanna. Be gay, do witchcraft. um,
Second, where did you get that shirt?
Actually, my sister bought it for me from a little store that's in Nevada City, California. I can't remember the name of it, but I will let you know. Maybe we can put
Can you
their
show us the
link
whole thing again? Because
comment.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's just a simple T-shirt, but it says "Be gay, do witchcraft,"
I love it.
and yeah, the whole store they have really cute clothes like this. But yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, this episode had probably one of the most sapphic scenes I've ever seen without
Mhm.
actually being sapphic.
Mhm.
um, I
Uh,
mean, it was really good.
yes, yes. All right, but before we get into more of that, Danny, what is your who said it for this episode?
Okay. So I actually have two.
Go for
Uh,
it. Yes.
okay, cool. So the first one is memories are fickle. They fit the story we tell ourselves about life.
I think it might be either Susanna or Thomas, but I am going to go with Thomas Coyle, I
It
think.
was actually Elliot in the present.
Oh,
I was having
okay.
a conversation with Nick, and Nick was like hammering all these questions on him about
Oh,
like, why didn't anyone tell him about Alice back then, blah blah blah. And this was Elliot's response, which I think was completely appropriate. Like, yeah, no one actually remembers Alice. Um, Memory is fickle.
we are going to go into our favorite moments of the episode. So, ironically enough, all of mine is when young Cat is in the hospital. The first part is when young Alice goes to her mom's bedside and she's like, "Please, mom, you are the bravest person I know. So you have to be brave right now, okay? You have to fight because I need you to." And see, that's kind of mirroring what I was kind of telling my mom when she was battling all that stuff in the Philippines with her condition or situation. I was praying, "Mom, you can fight this. You need to be strong. Please come through because we need you." Um, yeah, so I got so emotional at that part because I saw myself in Alice when she had that moment. And then shortly after that same time is when Brady comes in and he goes, I think she's awake at this point, right? And he goes, "Cat, will you marry me for real this time? I will do anything you want. I just want this. I want us." And I just love the relationship. It's so cute. Um, it's so beautiful this episode. And what okay, as I mentioned like a few minutes ago, I gasped a lot at this episode.
Yeah.
One of the parts I gasped out loud was right immediately after that scene. Alice turns, and then you see young Elliot holding
Oh,
flowers. Oh, my heart.
poor guy. I really feel for him. He
Oh. But yeah, those were my favorite moments from the episode. What about yours, Danny?
I would have to say the scenes between Kat and Susanna, because I up until this episode I wasn't quite shipping them. I thought it was a cute idea, but I saw the chemistry. Like when they both approach the pond and Susanna is like, "I'm gonna go with you," and
Oh,
Kat gets excited, and they jump in. It doesn't work, which is terrible. Um, that scene when they're like in her shop, right? Like in the I don't know if it's like a basement or something with like the candles lit and everything. And it's just like a really beautiful shot. They're in their nightgowns and they're drying off. Um, but they express so much love to each other in that scene. And even if it is a platonic love, it like just I think the emotional connection that two women can have is just beautiful.
Mm.
And I love the way that scene captured that. And then also just uh, Susanna's friendship with Kat, giving her the inspiration to write, knowing that her name isn't going to be able to be published with her writing in that timeline, right? In that time period. But later on, it might be. And that gives her a lot of hope. And I'm just like, God, that's so amazing. I love it.
I have a couple of questions. Did it surprise you how fast and willing Susanna was when she was like ready to like drop everything and just go right then and there?
I don't think it's surprising because she's never really fit in that place of Port Haven and with those people, right? She's kind of an outcast. She does magic and she seems like a strong-willed woman who didn't want to get married off, right? So she made this arrangement with Jacob. Um, and so yeah, and then I again in that scene when they're in her shop, she even says like, the longer I'm here, the more I realize that like I'm not going to find a man to marry. So yeah, she's really ahead of her time, I think.
So I had a question about that too. So when she said about the part about a man, the way I translated it was like, is she right? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's how I read it.
Okay, me too. Okay, good. But what I
But
talked about is when the two of them were at the pond, I think Susanna was like, or it might have been at the shop where Susanna was like, are the women in your time more like you? So I thought that was really awesome because she wanted to be amongst women who were strong, had a voice, and was able to do stuff. So I kind of felt like felt that she wasn't living up to her full potential, right, in that time. I would have loved to see her in present day.
no, that would be really cool.
Well, yeah, I'm sure like when like you were talking about the sapphic scenes in or almost sapphic in the shop, I'm sure a lot of people are like kiss, 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 kiss.
Right?
Then when I was it Thomas Coyle or Elijah that came down,
Thomas.
and then I really wanted him to say, "Oh, am I interrupting something? Oh, should I?" You know what I
I
mean?
mean, he kind of did say that.
Oh my God, I would
Yeah.
have loved if he would have said that. That would have been awesome. Yeah. All right, so now is our caption this portion of the episode. We posted a picture on our social media for you guys to reply to and add your captions, and we had a few good ones, and I included some of my own, and Dani has one as well, and we are going to play that for you right now.
So that was our caption this submissions. Be sure to follow at PopWireNet on all social platforms and keep an eye out for our post when we ask you to caption it. Reply to that post with your caption and we will include it in our next episode of WitchSlapped.
Yes. Yes, please do. We've been getting some awesome ones, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so now it's time for my Who Said It. I have one, and then I have a couple of quotes that I think I really like. So the first quote is, "You have heart and you care, maybe too much." Okay, for everyone watching, if you remember who it was, put it in the comments below before we say who it is. Yeah. I did omit a part in the beginning because it kind of gives out who it is, but I'll say
Okay.
it again. You have
Man.
heart and you care, maybe too much.
I'm not gonna get this one.
I'll narrow it down. It's said in present day.
Yeah, I don't know. Who
Okay.
is it?
So it's Nick to Elliot when he says, "You were right about what you said about me being like my dad." And then
Oh, oh
I
man,
think
that was a
Nick
good
says, "You
one.
are nothing like Vic, or you're nothing like your dad. You have heart and you care, maybe too much." So that was Nick to Elliot.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so my favorite quotes, and so this one I thought was funny. This is Nick again to Elliot, and this kind of is really funny. So Alice was named after herself.
Nick,
I thought that was funny because that's
that
true.
is funny. Yeah, but I also feel like that's something that Nick would say.
Yeah, well, that's totally true. And then again, and back to the katana moment with Susanna
Mhm.
and Kat in the shop. I think it's Susanna says something about the magic of the pond, and then Kat says, "You are magic."
Yeah, that was my other quote. I love
Oh,
that
was
quote.
it really?
Ah,
All right, so big moments. There were
mm,
a few, but we're going to try to
yes.
narrow it down to like a couple. So,
Okay.
Dani, you can go first. What is some of your or one of your big moments in this episode?
Um, can I take it all the way to the cliffhanger?
Yes, go for it.
Um, so Elliot and Kat are talking about the thing that Rita was telling them during the witch, or no, sorry, not the witch, during the ghost tour. And Kat has this realization that she might be talking about Thomas. So she runs back to her records and she finds that Thomas Coyle is on the execution list. And so she decides she's going to go back in time, knowing that she can't save him, but she wants to say goodbye. Oh, God.
Yeah, and we kind of had a feeling that, oh my God, you see the chemistry and you kind of want them to be together, and then one of them dies off and like
Mm-hmm.
gets killed off, and it's like, oh, so yeah, and then as you said, it's either going to be because you mentioned like in the tour that it was either
Yeah,
going to be Thomas or Jacob, right?
that
So
was my guess. Yeah.
yeah, so Thomas, wow, that's again your mind is magical. Yes. Okay. One of my big moments is when Kat finds out she's pregnant at the
Oh,
hospital.
yeah, that was really sweet.
And she says, if it's a girl, we'll name the baby Alice. Okay, so I don't know if you remember my theories, guys, but in the previous episode, she said she wants like one or two babies. So I'm thinking, how she said, what if if it's a girl, we'll name her Alice. But what if the baby that she has ends up being a boy, and then they name him Noah,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And
could
then
be.
and because I've been saying how Noah looks a lot like the dad, and then they have another baby, which is Alice, and they are able to keep. But another thing is, I was going through my head, and I was like, what if they had a baby? They named it Alice, but then they had to give it up for adoption. That baby turned out to be Casey.
What?
And then they had another baby, and then they named her Alice. And then, that's who the Alice that we know.
Yeah.
So, because I don't know. I think something's up with Casey.
Hey, I know, right?
Something's up with no, no, I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see. I'm glad you mentioned Elijah telling the story about Jacob because that reminded me of my other favorite part in this episode, which was um, when Jacob writes a mama mail to Dell in the almanac. He writes in the margin after the page that he ripped out. Um, and oh my God, what did it say?
Oh, I
The
should have written down.
explorer, I think it said something like the explorer found his home, but when he feels lost, he looks to the stars. Something like that. I was just like, oh,
Frequency.
and Elijah's like, well, what are you writing? And he's like, a note to my mom so she knows that I'm here and that I love her.
Mm,
Oh gosh, I bawled.
yeah. And so a lot of stuff that happened is this episode explains what we know from, like we figure out, oh, that's why the page is torn out. And oh, that was
Yeah.
just that wrote all that stuff. So it kind of like brings it back full circle, right?
I'd have to say that this show does a really good job of doing that.
Mm,
Like they don't just drop empty clues. They always bring things back.
mhm.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So one final question I have before we wrap things up is we see that Jacob, he really wants to stay, which I understand, in the past because he has a family there. Do you think he's gonna come back to the present, or should he? Do you want him to, or do you want him to stay?
I don't know. It's tough because I he's been gone for so long and he's already been pronounced dead. I think the way my mind works, I'd be like, well, how would I how would I prove that I am Jacob? Like and what would my story be? What would I tell people? I don't know. I think it'd be really amazing for Dell to get a chance to see her son at least one more time. And if he has the ability to go back and forth, I mean,
Right.
why
Yeah.
not?
Maybe he stays and maybe they just visit,
Yeah.
or then he visits them, or back and forth. But selfishly, I would want him to come back to the present because the technology, we got electricity, we got running water, we got iPhones,
Yeah.
we got toilets. I don't know if they have like toilets there or something, or like outhouses or something, but there's so much, like, yeah,
Yeah. And we can't forget going into the finale, the poster for season two.
right.
Dell was on the edge of the pond. So maybe we'll be seeing Dell going back and visiting him.
Hopefully. Yeah, because okay, so a lot of these posters for the shows, they leave clues in it, intentionally or not intentionally, or so we this whole season we're thinking that, and this is the penultimate episode, and as of right now she doesn't know, so maybe she'll find out in the finale, which would be really cool. But yeah, we will see. There's one episode left, and yeah. Okay, so performer of the episode, it has to go to David Webster, young Elliot. Oh my God, he was so emotional this whole episode. He was punching
Yeah.
walls and crying. Oh my God, and I just I feel bad for young Elliot. Young Elliot, like every time I see him, he looks so sad. You know, like he
Yeah.
can never catch a break. And when he's sad, I feel sad, and so, I just hope that everything works out with present day Elliot and Kat, because I just want him to be happy. I just want him to be happy. So, but yeah, brilliant performance by David Webster. All the range of emotions that he displayed in this episode was really touching and heartbreaking at the same time. And yeah, I really loved his performance in this episode. So what about you, Danny?
I'm gonna go with Spencer McPherson. Um, I think he is doing a great job embodying what Jacob would be as an adult. And in this particular episode, when he like storms in and he learns that Elijah and Rebecca knew that he wasn't from that time. And yeah, he was just the emotion that he displayed was so raw when he rips out the page and he's like, "This is not your story to tell. It's my life." Um, and then when he makes his decision not to go back and then goes back and writes that note to Dell. Anyways, yeah, Spencer, he's a really amazing actor, and I'm really happy that The Way Home brought him into the fold, and I look forward to seeing more of him.
And just to remind you guys watching, Dani knew that Spencer was going to be before we found out, before we watched any of the advanced episodes or the episodes in advance, she knew. You
I
know,
predicted
she's doing match. Wait, what does your shirt say again?
it says "Be gay, do witchcraft."
She's doing witchcraft, y'all. All right, well, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget that Dani's recaps are on popwire.net. Don't forget to catch the season finale Sunday night at 90 Central on Hallmark channel. It's also available next day on Hallmark Movies Now, which is Hallmark's streaming service, and also on Peacock. All right, thank you everyone for watching. We're so excited for the finale. All right, we'll see. I'm Rowell.
And I'm Dani. Bye, guys.
We'll see you next week. Bye.